Hey y'all, I'm up here painting Gloria the Goose Fall Edition. She is one of a multi-goose set. Well, they're all Gloria, but they're different. There is a spring Gloria, which I've already painted, and then there is a summer Gloria, a fall, and a winter Gloria. And they're just for starters, because geese, they're really the thing right now. And I knew that I wanted to do a set, and the ideas that I came up with were it was either going to be barns or geese, and my daughter was like, geese. So geese it is. And so we're just working through the series, and the spring, summer, winter, and fall Glorias are gonna be, I don't even know if I'm gonna sell them as tracers. I do know that they're gonna be they're gonna be something that I give to my email subscribers just as a thank you for being, part of my little King Gap Creatives community. But I'm also gonna be offering them to anybody that wants to sign up for my newsletter like now. Just as a thank you for coming in and again being a part of it. So, I don't know if this is going to be available in my shop or not, but if you're on my email list, I am sending it out to y'all. And if you're new, you're going to get that too. But either way, have no fear. If you don't get this Gloria, there are more Glorias in the works. There is a Gloria in the bathtub. Don't worry, it is tasteful. There is a Gloria. There's a Christmas Gloria with Christmas lights wrapped all around her. There is a 4th of July Gloria with her little patriotic inner tube. Like, Gloria has so many looks. She is just really a little fashionista here, and I am loving Gloria. I started working on her actually several weeks ago, and I just haven't been able to pull it all together. And the main reason is because there were so many different things I wanted to do with her. I've just got idea after idea after idea, and there's more ideas than I have had time to paint. And I don't like to sell a tracer for something that I haven't thoroughly thought through and painted myself. I don't like to do a giveaway of something that I haven't thought through and painted myself. So the ideas are coming a whole lot faster than I can get the Glorias done. But just know they're coming, and if you have recently signed up for my emails, I hope you're loving this set, because there's just so many things you can do with Gloria. I guess one thing that got me thinking about it was, the porch geese that people have been doing. They used to do a lot of, and they've kind of come and gone over the years, but they're back in style in a big way. And I thought, well, porch geese are nice, but not everybody has a place to put a porch goose, but everybody has somewhere they could fit Miss Gloria in. And I'm going to do her bill and her feet in this spice pumpkin, but I think I probably should paint over her feet in white first. And you know, I think I'm going to paint her bow in white too, just so that whatever more vibrant fall color we use will show up a little bit better. And I think maybe the white will make it pop a little bit, I hope. And I'm leaving some of these Sharpie lines. I did something that I don't know if I already said this, but I don't normally have my canvases, I don't normally do them after I have already painted the background. But the reason I did, it is so much quicker to not have to go around all the little places to do your background. I will say this is not something that I have been able to do for a paint party because of the dry time. But if you have time to paint your background and let it dry and then go back over it with a tracer, it works like a charm. Now, I did use the white graphite paper today because I didn't know. I think the black would have showed up, but I knew the white would show up better. And you're probably thinking, well, you got black lines on there now. What you talking about? You traced it with white. Well, I did. But then, just to be able to see my lines really, really well, I went back over it with just a Sharpie. So, I'm kind of cheating today and taking the easy way of doing things. But if you've got time, if you've gotten a tracer out of my shop and you've got time to let it dry and do it like this, it really is an easy way to do backgrounds. Or if you're doing like an ombre background, you know, it's hard to do that around a design. So this is a really good way to do ombre backgrounds. And I've got, I think, some videos of when I've done those. Maybe one of the Easter door hanger I did with the empty tomb. I think it was an ombre background. If you want to go back and find that video and check that out. I just love blending the colors like that, and it's almost impossible if you've already got your design traced on to do that, because it just, you know, you can't get it around all the little places and make it flow right, I think. So the reason I'm painting in the pumpkin is I don't want that color underneath to dull the orange. If we do them all orange, I don't know. We may have to do a couple of them something different. But the color that I painted the background is called Thicket, and it is one of my favorite Deco Art Americana colors of all time, because you can use it for so much. It's kind of a gray green, I guess you'd say. But it's just really versatile. I had a lot of people use it back last year when I was doing paint parties with a nativity scene. A lot of people thought this was a really good color for Joseph's robe, and I agree. I'm just gonna grab this little round brush for a minute to get in some of the tiniest places, because it's hard even with that little 1/4 inch flat that I use for almost everything. These pumpkins are little, so they need some I tell you what, I'm just going to kind of put this on time lapse to do the white. Or actually, I'll just come back after I've got all the white painted in and we'll do the colors. So I've just painted some, I guess you could say, primer over the pumpkins. That may not have been absolutely necessary, but I just wanted whatever colors we use on them to really pop and not be muddied by that darker color underneath. And of course, if you don't paint your background before you do the tracer, you don't have to worry about that. So I guess there's perks to either way you decide to do it. But I think in this case it may have been easier to just prime the pumpkins rather than go around all the little places on this painting if I hadn't have done the background before I put the tracer on. But it's kind of like 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Whatever way seems best to you, you know, there's no right or wrong way. I just wanted to try it a little bit different. And, you know, again, I can't really do it like that when I do a paint party or when I do anything where I don't have time to let it get good and dry before I put the tracer down. But, you know, if you got time, that's a good alternative way to do it. So I'm just getting the bill or beak, or I guess it would be a bill, just like a duck. I'm not sure. I need to look that up. What is a goose's beak bill called? But anyway, that spice pumpkin is just a really pretty fallish color. I used it a lot in paint parties last fall. And we're going to do some fun things that are not on the tracer too. Some totally optional things, but we're going to make something that resembles fall leaves on the background, just to brighten things up a little bit. And while I'm on her face, I'm going to go ahead and take this black Posca paint pen and just go ahead and do her eyes, because that kind of starts making it look better once the eyes are done, I think. So let's see, while we have the orange going, we're gonna paint this pumpkin that color too, the bigger one. And then the smaller one is going to be a color called Sea Glass. So I know I'm going over these lines quite a lot, but we can always touch that up a little bit when we're done. I kind of like how that's looking anyway, for the most part, with just a little of that white bleeding through, but there are spots like right there. I think we may have to go back and touch up some, but all of our pumpkins are not going to be a traditional pumpkin color. I'm really liking the green pumpkins lately. We have a man in our neighborhood that sells pumpkins every year, and he grows a lot of the pale green and white pumpkins. I know they're called something, but to me they look like a pale green. They may be called blue, but they look green to me. Anyway, he grows a lot of them, and I really, really like them. I still like the orange pumpkins too, but we're going to mix it up a little bit with this painting. And we're going to do one in a color called Buttermilk and the other in a color called Sea Glass. So, yeah, I'm going to have to touch up some of those lines because I did get way over them on this. Good thing is I can still kind of see the lines because we did use that Sharpie to go over them. So I think we're going to be okay. I may have to turn it though so I can see. So I can kind of tell what's going on. I think I maybe got some of my little pumpkin covered, and I didn't mean to do that, but we'll fix it. We will make this work. This little 1/4-inch brush is doing really good with this pumpkin, but if you need the little round one to get into tiny places, you know, that's perfectly okay to use that too. It's just whatever works the best for you. I actually think I'm going to need the little round one to get in a couple of these little places, like right up here at the top. And then there was a little place down here that I thought needed it. And yeah, I think I got over, yep, I see the line where it was supposed to be the sea glass color pumpkin, but we will fix it. It is not going to be a huge deal, I don't think. And so, since this pumpkin's orange, this is sea glass, we're going to come over here and do this bow orange. We're just trying to incorporate the orange just here and there throughout the painting, but we don't want it to be like all clumped up together. Just space the little pops of orange out a little bit. And when I'm designing for t-shirts, I usually give my bows some kind of pattern. Sometimes I make them with checks or polka dots or just like a burlap texture, but I don't really think I know of a good way to do the texture on here. But now if you do, you feel free to do that. That'd be pretty on these if you could figure out a way to do we might just do some little hash marks or something to give them a little bit more dimension. And we're probably going to come in with some white to highlight too. So just whatever. And I'm leaving that little area inside there unpainted for now because I think I'm going to paint it another color as if it's the inside of the ribbon or something. Or the wrong side of the ribbon. Let me see. So, I think now, let's go ahead. I think I'll just put in just a drop. I'm going to put down just a drop of black and make that, take just a little bit of this orange paint and make that Just a little bit of black goes a long, long way. I really wanted that more orangey. Yeah, that's too much. Let's see what we can do with just that much. Still, just, my goodness. And y'all, I just barely put a little drop of black, and I know it'll do that. I don't know why I'm surprised. But anyway, we're just going to take a little bit of that color and go into the little loop of the bow. I'm out of the frame again. I'm sorry. I struggle with this so hard. Just making that just a little bit of a different color. And I think what we could do, since we've already got that mixed up, I think I'll make the other bow that color. Maybe there'll be enough of it. Am I in the frame now? No, now I am. My goodness, these 11 by 14 canvases are harder to line up with the camera than if I'm just doing a little 8 by 10 or something. Or yeah, 8 by 10 or something. And we can always change these colors on the bows if we decide we like something else better, because that may be too much orange. I don't know. I just decided to use up what I already had mixed up, but you know, I'll have some suggested colors on the supply list, but ultimately you just use whatever you like for these. And I thought I had plenty mixed up. I may have to mix again. That always gets tricky when you have to mix twice, because sometimes it's hard to get the exact same proportions, but you know, we just do what we can, and usually it turns out okay. And again, I'm going to touch these black lines up. I know they're looking kind of rough right now, but we'll touch them up and get them going in the right direction. Let's see. Okay. That's close enough, I think. Had to mix up just a touch more. Okay, so then in this loop, since we did the darker color in the other loop, we'll do the brighter orange on the inside of that, just like it's the opposite side of the ribbon, you know. And then we'll go in a little bit and touch up those lines. Now, I'm still thinking about what color to do her little do-rag up here, her little bandana. It might even be cute, like a dark red or something. Let's do red with some polka dots. I think that would be cute. So I had out this Tuscan red for the leaves that we're going to be doing in a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do her little bandana, that same shade of red. And I'm going to need to set that upside down because we are low on that color. But for the leaves, we're not going to need just a whole lot of it anyway. And this bandana could be absolutely any color, but I'm thinking I'm going to do it red and then put in some like maybe some gold or mustard colored polka dots. This is a real easy paint, and it would be a good one to get started with if you're just getting into acrylic painting. But what I like about this one is you can add your own touches, because look at all this blank space here at the top for you to do absolutely whatever you want to with. So that really opens up your options. And I think, well, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. I believe what I'm going to do is maybe go ahead and paint that bottom pumpkin the buttermilk color. And it's just like a yellowy off-white, I guess you could say, like almost a dark ivory. Uh-oh, I'm getting off. We're going to cover that up, though, with the thing we're doing with the leaves, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. And even if we weren't, you could always come back over it with like some more of the thicket color that we painted the background with to begin with. I think I like that. Yeah, I don't know if I can cover that and it look right or not, so we may have to just do a little touch up with the thicket. We'll just see when we get to that point. But I do think that I like the buttermilk color for a pumpkin. I need to write that down. Because what I'm doing as I paint, I'm writing the directions that will come with the supply list and tracers. Because if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember what I did. I have to write myself little notes and sometimes even sticky notes in strategic places all the time. Okay. I don't know if we would have had to have primed these with the white, but I do like how that's looking, so I don't know that it would have been absolutely necessary, but I probably would do it again just because it looks good, because I think it's got just a little bit of that white still peeking through, and that's kind of neat. Yeah, that's gonna have to have some touch up, but it'll be okay. I am gonna need to get my little brush and get right there in that little space. And now I'm afraid I'll forget about the stems. So let's go ahead and do the stems in this, let's see, I think this color will be good. This cocoa color. And you see I primed one pumpkin stem and didn't the other. And that was mainly because I decided after I had already done one that it really didn't need it. And the reason I'm shaking this again, for some reason, even though I shook it that first time, it seemed a little watery. I don't know what's going on with that. And it still does. I don't know what the deal is. But I am going to do just a little quick brush rinse to get that buttermilk color out. Well, and then I'm ended up using the little brush anyway. I don't know why that looks a little watery. Ooh, but I like that for a pumpkin stem. It may need 2 coats though, we'll see. See how it looks when it dries. You can leave a little bit of that white peeking through if you want to. I'm just making a quick note to use cocoa for stems. Okay, so now we just need to do this leaf and this pumpkin. So for this pumpkin, we're using this little color called Sea Glass. Let me get us back in the frame. I'm sorry, I drift out of the frame so much. I keep hoping I'm going to get better at that. And hopefully someday I will, but I'm not there yet. So let's just rinse that brush out a little bit. I'm leaning heavy on this little round brush for this particular painting. I always do though. I use those 2 brushes more often than anything. The little round and the 1/4 inch flat. That's what I take to paint parties. Those and this 1 inch wash brush. They're my ride or dies. I have to have them whatever I'm doing. And I don't know if you can see how terrible these lines look right now. You're probably thinking, what in this world? But we will do a little touch up with some paint. We might even use our black Posca marker. And if we do that and just give a little touch up, that's going to make all this look really good. I'm actually almost wishing that I had used this sea glass color on one of the larger pumpkins because I am really, really liking it. But either way, it's a nice little pop. I don't guess it matters which ones because I like the others too. But I almost wish I had done the big pumpkin in the sea glass and the little one in the orange. Because that would have looked good too. So whichever way you want to do it, you know, it'll be written one way in the directions. But just know you can change it up if you want to. That's what, you know, a lot of people think. If I use a tracer, it's just going to be cookie cutter like everybody else is and all this stuff. No, it's not. You can put your own spin on whatever it is you're doing. And just because it starts with a tracer doesn't mean that it's going to end up looking just the same as everybody else's. Because I can tell you, I have never done a paint party where any two people's painting ended up looking just exactly alike ever. And all but just a couple of the parties I've ever done have started with tracers. I honestly can't think of but 2 parties that I've taught that didn't start with a tracer. So anyway, I just wonder, well, let's go ahead and do our pumpkin leaf right here. And for that, we're going to use a color called Hauser Light Green. And since that's little, this is probably not best practice, but I'm just painting out of the lid. I do that sometimes. And just stand that brush up on its edge to get around the curves in the leaf. And just easy peasy. And it may need another coat, it may not. Let's just let it get dry and see what's going on. Before that red paint dries though, I am gonna just go back over her little bow. I said before the red paint dries. What am I talking about? Now that the red paint is dry, I'm gonna give it another coat. Because I think a little darker is going to look a little bit better. So let me make myself a note to do a Tuscan red bow. Okay, so before we do our outlines, this is where I want to go in and do the fun little leaves. Now, they're not going to actually be leaf shaped because we're trying to keep this whimsical and really bright. And just kind of let it flow. So, what we're going to do, I'm rinsing out this brush right now. And I guess just to be on the safe side, I am going to drop just a little drop of this sticky. Oh, that's not a little drop. Okay, let me put some of that back in the bottle. Did not mean to do all that, but I had it set and turned up so it could all go to the bottom and I could get at it a little easier, and man, it's coming out. And there's a little paint goopy or something in there. Let me get that out. So just blending that over the boo-boo where I got the unwanted paint, and I see a little thin place or two, and that's what I'm doing. But you know what? That's just me being a little OCD, because you're not going to need it over those thin places when we do what we are about to do. So what we're going to do now is take some of that Tuscan red, some of the spiced pumpkin, some of this pretty sunset gold, and a couple of shades of green. Oh, and some salted caramel. I just keep thinking of things I want to use. So there's the sunset gold. Let me get some more Tuscan red. Like I said, these are not going to look like formed leaves. This is whimsical. This is supposed to be just something fun, just to make it a really bright, pretty painting. Just because it's fall, it doesn't need to be dull. And this spice pumpkin, let me see, what else? Let's go ahead and throw in a little bit of this Hauser light green too. Because, you know, some of the leaves in the fall still are green. And we'll also use a little bit of this cocoa too, I think. And we're just going to start making, okay, we're using this little 1/4 inch brush again. And we're just going to start making some little random little downward strokes like that. Just space them out some, because you're going to want to work in all those other colors too. This is your fallen leaves. And we'll put some down here around her feet and around the pumpkins too. Okay, and then just work in the other colors, just kind of randomly spacing them out. I'm going to go ahead and go in with the red and just start working in all these colors. Just trying to get them so that they look random and not in a particular pattern. It's what we're going for. And you can even put them in different directions down here if you want to, like the leaf has fallen and it's laying on its side or something. But you don't have to do that. They can all be in the same direction. Whatever you like. So just a quick brush rinse. And we're just going to take the next color, which is this Hauser light green. See, I could do this part all day. This part is fun to me. I may have gotten a little crazy with the leaves. There's probably a few too many, but I just kind of like that crazy looking background. It just really brightens it up a lot, I think. And it's going to look so much better once we get our lines touched up too. That always helps. Okay, now let's go ahead and come in with some spiced pumpkin. And for these, I'm going to try to just make them go some random directions. I do think it might look a little better without everything being just up and down. And just try to find your blank spaces at this point where you don't really have a lot going on, and that's where you want to work in the colors, and they can run off the edge a little bit. That looks good. This is just you know, don't even think about it a whole lot. Just putting some color down. It can be as random as you want it to be. And really, the more random you make it, probably the better it's going to look. And then, we're just going to take that salted caramel and cocoa. I'm going to start with the salted caramel because if it starts looking like we've got too many of these, we could just not do the cocoa, I guess. But I'm going to make these go kind of sideways too. Just to kind of, oh, I got a lot there. And if you're not digging this part, you know, this is totally optional. And again, I've probably got too many. You know, if you want to back off of them a little bit and not put quite so many leaves, you know, you just do it the way that appeals to you the most. But I just really, I'm liking all the color. Just and the fact that this is an easy, stress relieving little, I mean, it's just a brush stroke that you don't even really have to think about. Just a little touch and pull and touch and pull. And I think, though, that may be enough. I think I'm not going to use the cocoa for the leaves. So let me make myself a note of that, too. So for the leaves, we used Tuscan Red, Spiced Pumpkin, Salted Caramel, Hauser Light Green, and let me see, Sunset Gold. I think that's it. And I think that's going to be super cute. Once we get our lines touched up and everything. But what we need to do now, I mean, again, this is totally optional, but I'm going to give her some polka dots on her little head rag there. So I'm just going to take the end of this brush and just dip it into the Sunset Gold and just dab her some polka dots. If you want all the polka dots to be uniform and the same size, dip it every time. If you're going for just kind of random, you don't have to dip it every time. But it's just going to be a smaller dot if you don't tap. I mean, if you don't dip your brush every time. Okay. So, I do think the pumpkin stems are going to need a second coat. So I'm just going to go in with some of that cocoa color and paint over them again. I don't know, it just ended up looking a little streaky, so we're just going to go back over that. And actually, I think this darker color that we mixed up looks a little bit streaky too, but I think that part may be okay. The main thing I think we need to do now is highlight Miss Gloria a little bit before we move on any farther. So I'm going to take this buttermilk color and some more white. And I see a little thin patch right there where the white didn't cover as well as I would have liked. So before I do anything, I'm going to cover that a little better. But variations, that's okay if you have places like that. It's all good. But what I'm going to do right now is dip a corner of the brush in the buttermilk and a corner in the white, and we're just going to highlight her a little bit. I'm just going to come down the side of her neck and her body. Just with a little bit of shading, just a little shadow down that side and maybe around her cheek. And I'm going to do some more of that on the other side, just dipping a corner in the buttermilk and one corner in the white. Didn't have to start at the same place as you started that on the other side, but it can, just however you think it looks best, and just working all the way up there. And then down here at the bottom, I'm doing a little bit more, and maybe even just above her eye and up here a little bit of shading. And then let's give her cheeks a little bit of a glow. So let's take this color called Cactus Flower, and I use it all the time for flowers and lots of things. And I'm just taking just a drop of it and just mixing it with a little tiny bit of the white, just to make a really pale pink color. And then I'm just going to take the brush and put down and twist. And this is an optional step. You know, if you don't want her to have pink cheeks, she doesn't have to have. But then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. Just put the brush down and twist this way, and then twist this way, and it just makes a circle. So I think I need to work in a little bit more white. I think I maybe got a little bit carried away with that buttermilk on her feathers. So I'm just going to go in with the white and tone that down just a bit. And sometimes you just have to play with it till it looks how you want it to. But we just don't want her feathers to just look flat. We want her to have a little bit of some shading and a little bit of texture going on. Okay, so I think we maybe need another coat on the bow on this side, and we'll see about that other side. Oh yeah, that's making that look better. You don't have to do that, but I'm just seeing a lot of brush strokes and I'm not liking it. So, and I'm kind of waiting for the leaves to dry before we go in and do our, touch up our outlines, because I know if I don't, I'm going to have paint all over myself. And I may have to hit this little bow with the dryer a little bit, but okay, let me see. How about a little bit more over that pumpkin too? For some reason that orange is just wanting to look a little streaky, and I'm not loving it. And I hope I don't forget, we still got to paint our little stem too. Oh, I know what I forgot. This would be so cute to come in with some gold in the leaves, or maybe even maybe even around the pumpkin stems. I had some laid out and I just absolutely forgot about it, but I will put it as an optional in the directions, because wouldn't that gold just pop on these kind of jewel toned colors? I believe it would. I believe it would. I think that. Oh, you know what? I didn't even paint that little pumpkin stem either. My goodness, I keep seeing things that I forgot to do. And that happens sometimes. But that's where you're going to have an advantage over me, because you're going to have the directions that I wrote down to go by. And I'm just kind of winging it right now. But that stem is just going to be a little more of that cocoa color. And I'm probably going to have to go over it again, but that's okay. It's all gonna look cute in the wind up. So let me just dry it a little bit and we'll come back to do our outlines. And now we're just going to take this black Posca paint pen and just go over her outlines again, just to make it look a little more polished, and to go over the places where I kind of went over the lines a little. But we weren't worried about doing that because, you know, we knew we were going to touch up outlines. So I'm just kind of turning her so I don't get my hands in the paint. I'm terrible about getting hands in the paint. It happens almost every single time. But outlines can just make a world of difference to a painting. And I think she's already looking a little bit more polished. Let's come down this side and then we'll go back up and do her face after this dries a minute. We'll just go ahead and do the pumpkins, and then I'll come back and go around her beak, her bill. Whichever it's called, I am really not sure. Can you tell what a difference that's making though? It just really makes your painting look so much more polished, I guess you could say, when you do outlines like this. And you can do them with a small little liner type paintbrush, and I do that a lot of times depending on the painting. the pros to using a brush are that it is more pressure sensitive, and you can make like the outlines to where some look thicker and some thinner, which is always nice. But the biggest perk of the Posca pen is that you have more control, and typically it's a little quicker to do it with the Posca pen too. So it's just whichever you prefer. I do both. Just depends on the painting and how I'm feeling at that particular time, and either way is a good way to do it. I love her sweet little feet. And while we're here, we'll just go ahead and add some little webbing to her little toes. All right. Now, I'm just going to try to see where that stem fell. And I can see it through the paint if I really look. Just do that little curly cue right there. Maybe even let it hang off the pumpkin a little bit. All right. Should that stem have been another color? I'm not sure. But I always love watching how just some basic outlines just can really transform your whole painting. And sometimes I've seen people that just really were not liking how their painting was looking until they started adding their lines, and then they're like, oh wow. So, you know, really, you can't get a real good accurate feel for what your painting is gonna look like until you do get these little finishing touches on there, I think. So don't be too hard on yourself in the process. And even once it's finished, you may not like it for a minute, but usually after you step away and you come back then to look at it later, you're like, oh, that is cute. Or that's been my experience for the most part. You know, you like it better after you're not right up on it. Now, if this is a big tracer. For some reason, it really wants to lap right to the edges. So be really careful when you're right on the edge. It's easy to let the pen or the brush slip when you're right there on it like that. But okay, now I need to see where that line was supposed to go before I got the paint on a little bit too thick. Yeah, I think that's it. And last little thing I want to do, we're nearly done, but I just want to go in and make just maybe some little bits of shading on the bows with just a couple of little hash marks. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, I just do some down lines and then some across lines and call it good. And those might have even been better in a lighter color. I don't know. But, oh, I didn't go around her bill. All that talk about it, and then I didn't do it. And I see just one little tiny little place that has where the black ran off. I just want to go over it just a tiny bit. And y'all, I think she's done. Let me turn her around so you can see her good. And then I'll hold her up too. So here's our little fall goose. I hope you enjoyed painting her as much as I did. And make sure you paint her in her other elements too, with the winter and the fall and the spring and summer. I think you'll like those too. And also check out the King Gap Creative shop for the others, where I'll have the bathtub one and all that good stuff. Thanks for painting with me.